Awesome. Awesome. I almost forgot that. Welcome to this book launch, 10 Secrets of the Confident Woman. I'm so excited to be hosting you. Like I was saying, I've been on this book project for the past 1 year and 6 months, just making sure that it comes out in its finest version, in the version that can bless you and that can be of help to you. Um, Perhaps take this as your cue. If you've been carrying a book on your inside, take this as your cue to know that it's time to let that book out. And nothing is too small, nowhere is too small to begin. Even if it's a 10-page book, chances are that if you have that vision burning in your heart, there's likely someone out there that is going to benefit from it. Awesome. So I see my two guest speakers in the house already. I see Leanna Muller and I see Chamai Maja. Thank you so much, friends, for honoring this invitation. Thank you, Leanna, for coming. Thank you, Chama. Such a joy to have you. I've known Leanna for a little over 2 years or thereabout, and it's been such a beneficial relationship, and I'm grateful to God for putting you in my life. And then I've also, of course, known Chama just since I was born. She's my elder sister, biological sister. There are three of us. She's the first, and then there's my brother in the middle, and then I'm the last child. It's an honor to be able to host the both of you here. I'm trusting that this conversation will, go in a way that will be very impactful. So I'm just going to introduce myself and then read the bio of the guest speakers, and then we get into the meat of the conversation. Like I said earlier, I want this to be a pretty short and straight to the point meeting so that people are free to, go back to whatever they were doing. Maybe max 1 hour, we'll be here together. So we're going to keep it really crunchy, short, and straight to the point. My name is Regina Iruobe, and by the grace of God, I'm very privileged to be the author of the newly released, about to be launched book titled 10 Secrets of the Confident Woman. I'm a personal transformation coach, and this is what has inspired this particular project to be able to create a book that contains daily reminders, contains necessary information to help women make that pivot from being timid to being confident. I believe that in the world that we live in today, many women need to show up with more confidence. And so I trust that this is what this book will inspire you to do, or rather show you how to become a more confident woman. But alongside being a personal transformation coach, I'm also the founder of a women's ministry called Queen on Wings Movement, where myself and the leadership team, we continue to help women navigate their spiritual growth and, improve on their relationship with God. We continue to help them find purpose and just grow generally. And then I'm also the founder of Regina Iruobe Foundation. It's a faith-based youth mentorship platform that has the vision to raise a new breed of youths through offering transformational mentorship. And I wear many hats, but I'm going to stop there for now. It's been nothing but my shared privilege to organize and put together this particular book launch. So without much ado, I'm just going to go ahead. Sorry, folks. Every time you see me look to the side, I have a device in front of me. I'm trying to, make sure that I'm following with the things that I have itemized. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and read. I'll start with Leanna. I'm going to read your bio. Leanna lives in the United States and works as a mental health counselor. She is passionate about working with others on their journey to healing and wholeness. She's also passionate about ministering to single women and providing insights and guidance about choosing a suitable partner and preparing, for a healthy, holy marriage. Additionally, she authored A Different Story, Trusting the Greatest Author with Your Still Single Chapter. I'm going to take that again. She authored A Different Story, Trusting the Greatest Author with Your Still Single Chapter. And she continues to work on many more projects. Leanna is also the founder and director of Sis Uplift Ministry. I am a part of that ministry, and I can tell you that it's been a blessing to me. Welcome, a very, very warm welcome to you, Leanna. Thank you for joining us. And then I'm going to go ahead and read Choma's bio in a minute. So Choma Aja is a polymer and textile engineering graduate from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Futo, and is currently pursuing her master's degree in polymer chemistry from Ebonyi State University. A STEM and gender advocate, Choma has interests in STEM leadership, especially in STEM policy making and the application of nanotechnology for environmental safety. As a result, she started an initiative called Cafe Scientific Woman, a knowledge sharing and acquisition hub for young women in STEM to bridge the gender gap in the STEM field, especially in Nigeria and Africa. She has held public service related leadership positions, amongst which she was elected as the Deputy Speaker of the Fourth Assembly of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. Bracket, the Nigerian Youth Representative Platform for Legislative and Policy Training under the tutelage of the National Assembly, representing the interests of Nigerian youths from 2019 to 2021. She also served as the technical assistant to the secretary to the Ebonyi State government from 2016 to 2018, through which she was nominated to the Nigerian Youth Parliament. Currently, she's the CEO of an eco-focused travel and tourism startup called Grand Experia, a fellow of IOCA Fellowship, in brackets, a social innovation lab for young African, Afro-descent, and European change makers, alongside serving on the board and leadership of Rolo Foundation, a STEM not-for-profit organization promoting science for sustainable development in Africa. Choma, I'm so honored to be hosting you on this particular program today. So I'm gonna start by asking you guys a few questions, and I also want to see if I can spotlight my speakers alongside me, just so that everyone can see you guys. Okay, I don't really know. Let me see. I think I'm figuring it out. Okay, can you guys see the three of us, myself, Choma, and Liana? Can you guys see us on Spotlight? Feedback, please. Can you mute yourselves?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ijoma, for that feedback. All right, so let's begin. I want to start with you, Choma. What does confidence mean to you? I feel like it's a very, very commonly used word, but I don't think people really understand the depths to confidence. So can you tell us what confidence means to you?
Everybody.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be part of this book launch. And it's a very big pleasure meeting all the wonderful young women who are part of this meeting. And I'm especially excited about meeting you, Liana. Very, enthusiastic about this meeting. And I loved your bio and I love the work that you're doing. So kudos to all that you do for young women and single women. So what does confidence mean to me? I would say that the general definition of confidence, confidence is from the root word fider, which means to trust, yeah? To trust. So confidence is basically to have trust, either in somebody else or in yourself. And when that confidence is in yourself, it is self-confidence. And basically confidence is having faith, especially when, in a lot of situations when you're not even sure of 100% of the outcome. And I think that for me, the most important thing that I know about confidence, or I can share about confidence from having to have exhibited it in situations, is that everything does not have to be perfect for you to be confident. And you don't always have to feel like you have arrived at the destination for you to exude confidence. And I think that some of the best ways that you can definitely like have more confidence is all to equip yourself and be more knowledgeable. Any way that you can keep seeking knowledge about whether it's a subject matter, whether it's a situation, whether it's an occurrence or like history, whatever it is, just being able to, because I'm from the science field, research a lot more about whatever situation that you're going to be handling or whatever situation that you're going to be in is what helps you to be confident. But I think that something that everybody to go away with is that the confident woman is not the person who has it all, put together. It's not the person who has accomplished everything. It's not the person who has hit like goals. It's not the person who hasn't failed in some of their endeavors or in a lot of their endeavors. It is just someone who keeps trusting that by equipping themselves better, by doing better, by seeking that they can improve themselves. So for now, I would let Liana say something.
Thank you so much, Choma, for starting us off on that very powerful definition of confidence. I feel like I love very much what you shared, and I particularly like the emphasis that you placed on the fact that confidence is not equal to perfection. Because sometimes I feel like we mix it up in our heads, especially for those of us who may be perfectionists. There is a tendency to feel like if it's not perfectly put together, then, it's not good enough. But confidence means to just show up regardless. And even if you make mistakes, still show up, still keep showing up and keep moving on. Thank you so much. And I'm going to come to you, Liana. What does confidence mean to you?
Well, good day, everyone. And thank you so much, Regina, for having me on here. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when I first think of confidence, and specifically when it comes to self-confidence, I'm more thinking of like an inner security. And it's a security and a knowledge of who you are. And also as a Christian, I'm thinking about whose you are. So just knowing that you are God's child and that no matter what happens, that you have that security and that stability and that foundation. I think that's really what it comes down to, mainly for me, at least. And I think what's really important is that it's very hard to shake. Like for someone who is confident, it exudes from you, like it's within you, and other people are going to see that you are confident, and it's going to make a difference in every part of your life.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm so blown away by the definitions that both of you have given. And Leon, I love very much what you said that let me paraphrase, confidence is like an energy, it's a vibe, it exudes out of you. If you're a confident woman, when people come around you, they can pick up that signal. They can tell that you're a confident woman, and it means that you're giving yourself permission to be all and do all. And I love that very much. Thank you so much for sharing that. I guess my next question, coming back to you, Choma, you are African, and I assume that you have lived in Africa for more than a decade at least. And we know, both of us know, because I'm African as well, we know that in the African context, women are very stereotyped and have been very stereotyped for a pretty long time. And we grew up in a society that made us feel like there were certain things women couldn't do. There were certain things that women couldn't become. Almost like society tries to clip the wings of women. This is predominantly in an African society. How have you been able to find your voice in the midst of all of that? And what has that journey been like for you? And I want you to speak, bearing in mind that there are lots of African women who are on this call who are still trying to make that pivot and just find themselves and become a better, higher version of themselves. Can you talk to us about how you found your voice in the midst of it all, going on to hold a public office and doing many more great things, being an entrepreneur, being a woman in STEM? All of these are like things that are very extraordinary for an African woman to do. So can you tell us what your journey has been like and how you really found your voice?
I think that I would start by saying that my biggest inspirations have always been my parents. I think that my parents have played the biggest roles. And I mean, like Regina is here, and it's I think one of the sessions where I attended for um, um, for one of the programs I was invited for, I did talk about the kind of faith that my father and my mother exhibited when they decided that the place where we were staying at first was not going to was not an environment that could give us the education that they thought would help us survive. And because of that, they, just made that decision and they forged ahead, blinding faith, literally. And because of my parents and because of the way that they have exhibited confidence and just trusted God to be able to do lots of things, I grew up in that kind of environment, and that is basically how I run my life. I have seen like them do almost impossible things and they changed it to possibilities. So my parents are my biggest inspiration, and they are my biggest push to being able to exude confidence and take on challenges and roles that that are not easy or are not deemed easy or not deemed for women. And then I would also, just say it again, my parents were very handsome when we were younger in terms of like with assignments, with schoolwork, and just, being very present. And because of that, that is also the reason why I can find my voice, and I can also be attentive to other women or younger people, or other people that are not as strong as I am in certain areas, and just be able to lend help. So I have basically grown up in that kind of environment. And as for always being able to speak up and take up this position, I would say again that I grew up in a background where everybody pushed, everybody pushed the boundaries, everybody pushed the narrative. My mom, who, even though she got sick, found other ways and other things to do to be able to contribute in the family, and being very present, being able to do those things. So because of that, I have seen that the women can do all the things that they want. They can still be feminine. They can, my mom is in the kitchen, she's doing business, she's supporting us as the kids. So I have seen her wear like so many hats, and because she's able to do it, I basically just emulated my parents. And because of the way that they also have faith, they have always encouraged me, oh yes, you can do this, whatever situation it is. And also I would say like all of that moral support at the background, not just from my parents, but from like good friends, from like siblings, people praying for you to succeed. It's also like a lot of people like giving you advice and saying, oh, I've tried something like this before, you did it this way, it's better. So it's also leveraging people's experiences and learning about the mistakes that they made and not repeating those mistakes, and just all of that has really contributed. It's really been me being blessed with good people in my life. I have to say that I've been blessed with good people in my life, and because of that, they have just really helped on this journey. Then also, apart from that, it's been books. I remember like one of the very interesting authors I liked when I was a young girl, like a really young girl, was Annie Blyton. I also liked what's her name? The writer of Harry Potter. What's her name? Like it just escaped me now. But I loved the way that they were always creative with their writings. And I think one of the things that really always inspired me about their books is the imaginations. And I would think about how they imagined all of these things and how imagined those scenarios and they wrote it down, they penned it down. And so because of that, I too learned to be able to imagine things and be able to do those things. For me, it wasn't writing. For me, it was actually taking actions on those things. But because of the way that they imagine things and brought very new scenarios, to books in general, they have been like really very inspiring. I would also say that Oprah Winfrey too is always been a very great inspiration from all the bounds that she was able to break, all the narratives that she was able to change, not just about women, but about Black women. So it's just been like a lot of people. It's been, learning about other women's stories who were able to find their voices either by writing, either by being presenters, either by being poets, and just telling myself that these women are doing it. They're doing it. There's nothing that is impossible. They're pushing boundaries. They're changing narratives. And as long as they can do that, I can do that too. And I'll say that the last thing for me is, and I don't know if anybody has actually proven that, being like from a particular community where we need help and you just realize that you can't keep quiet about certain things. Like I have to take action. These certain scenarios, these situations, and you know that if you keep quiet, things will get worse. They will not get better. The worst thing that is going to happen is that if you stop, things may not change. But what if it changes? So just being in certain situations also is a huge push, or was huge push to me being able to do certain things. So it's really a combination of a lot of this fact, and that's it's not one thing.
Wow. This was such a rich answer, Chama, and I feel like we're taking out so much from what you have shared. And I hope that the people on this call, I hope everyone is taking notes. I would just fish out a few things that stood out to me as you were speaking on your confidence journey. I'd say that number one is I noticed that you were planted in an environment that allowed you to thrive. And so when you talk about moral support, you talk about emotional support, family support, it's just all about being in the right environment. And then you also talked about reading, which is a culture that I feel like is slowly going into extinction in our generation. But I feel like we can never underestimate the importance of books and the importance of reading rich articles. They cause our minds to expand. They expand our horizon, our perspective about life. And very importantly, I like to say that books give you a virtual tour into many other parts of the world that you've never been to, but you can travel there in your mind. And the more your mind opens, the more you realize the possibilities available to you, even as a woman. And that ties me into the third point which you raised, which was like you found some role models. And so whether it be through books or through watching them on TV, you saw possibilities. You saw, oh, this is a Black woman, look at what she's doing and look at how she's impacting her world. It means that the world is my oyster. And if I set my heart to it, I can do that and even much more. So for those taking notes, I've noticed that for a confident woman, her environment is very important. Don't plant yourself in the midst of mediocres as far as you can control, because now we're adults and we're taking responsibility for our lives and our outcomes. And so childhood is past. For some of us who didn't have like supportive parents or parents who were present, now that we're adults, and begin to take responsibility for our lives and our outcomes. And so we can choose our association, plant ourselves in the right communities that can help us grow and all of that stuff. And then also reading, let's revive the culture of reading, especially rich materials that can educate our minds and just widen our horizon. And then also find the right models. I'm very big on like role models because I feel like they are a vivid representation of my possibilities. they continue to show me that I can if they can. So that's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Choma. So blessed by it. I'm going to come to you, Liana, and I feel like I really wanted you to be part of this conversation because I know that you lead a women's ministry and mostly single women in a world where there's a lot of pressure on singles to dumb down and trim themselves aside so that they're not intimidating to men or so that they don't come off as too much and then no man wants to be with them. How do women continue? How do women show up confident regardless of this toxic conditioning or this dysfunctional societal conditionings? How have you encouraged women to continue to show up as confident women regardless of their marital status?
Yeah, so Chioma talked a lot about confidence coming through relationships and the people who supported her. And I totally agree in this circumstance as well. Especially with single women, it's really important to be around other single women who are going through the same thing and who understand your experiences. And I think it's very important for women, no matter their state of life, whether they're single, married, or in between, whatever, like we all need to be supporting each other and bringing out that potential in each other, and really just encouraging each other and finding that good. Sometimes I think if society is pressuring us a certain way or our culture is pressuring us a certain way, we really feel like we need to go that way. But I think in these friendships or relationships, whatever they look like, we just really need to be nurturing each other and just finding the good in each other and really striving to bring that out at all times.
Wow, that's important. I like the fact that you talked about communities. I'm an advocate of communities. And I love the work that you're doing with Sis Uplift. You're just creating a community where like-minded women can come into that safe space and hold each other's hands, encourage one another, pray for one another, and do life together. So I'm a big advocate of communities. I have experienced firsthand the life-changing ability or the life-changing power of the right communities. So if you're listening to us, always know that if you can plant yourself in a community of positive women who are encouraged to keep going out there and keep doing and becoming better version of themselves, then that's a good place to start. My next question, I'm going to go back to you, Choma. I want to believe that no woman has had it rosy all through her life, no matter how successful she is. And I hope I'm not wrong on that one. So I imagine that you may have faced some issues or some challenges in your journey to becoming a confident woman. I imagine that this wasn't the woman that you always were. So did you ever have confidence issues? And if you did, at what point or stage in your life, and how did you overcome it? How did you get through it to still bounce into this confident, absolutely amazing woman that you are today? And I want you to speak with women out there in mind. You're muted, by the way. You're muted. So.
No, I am not. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're good now. I can hear you. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
So I would definitely say that I think that for everyone, or like every woman, or even men, there's at some point in your life you start to do certain things. And I think my big there was a time I had like a really big self-esteem issue when I was younger, before the reign of Angelina Jolie being popular and being popular for her big lips. I had bigger lips when I was younger, probably because I looked smaller. And, you know, the more people made comments about it, the more that I felt very insecure about it. And when we talk about the fact that if you find yourself within like the right environment, it's really very great for the times that you're not confident. So one of the times I was taking a walk with Dad, and he noticed that most times I was always trying to squeeze my lips to make them appear smaller. And he asked, he's like, that he's noticed this. Why am I doing that? And I told him that's because my lips are weird, big. They look different from other people's. And he's like, there is nothing wrong with you. There's no feature on you that is amazing. You are beautifully made. You are very beautiful. In fact, you know, when parents are trying to instill something, he said, out of all of the people that you know, can you mention anybody who's more beautiful than you? And I came up with so many names, and he's like, I can tell you for sure that all these people are not considered more beautiful than you. So that is something that I had dealt with for a while, and it came to my dad's attention, and he was able to rebuke that immediately. And so I learned that act of rebuking or, you know, speaking beautiful words to erase any non-confidence that you have, right? So for times where I don't feel very confident, I turn to positive words, and I say to myself, you know, sometimes it could even be examinations, you know, and for three, you're feeling like you're not confident, and at the end of the day, these things distract you. You know, you lose focus. You're not reading because you feel like, oh, what is this intelligent student doing? How are they reading? Are they going to come out better than me? And then at the end of the day, I say to myself, at the end of the day, it's what you read, is what you have, you know, it's the course outline. That's what's going to come out. So if you have read, if you prepare yourself enough, then you are going to be able to take examination. And really, it's okay. You don't have to be the first in everything. You know, life is not about just being the first. And I also think that something that has built my confidence along the way have been having some, would I say eureka moments, like some light bulb moments. For example, when I was in the university, I was involved in going to secondary schools to teach secondary schools that didn't have very strong STEM teachers. I was going to tutor them in STEM courses, right? And I would have, you know, when you were teaching people and you can see that moment that they understand like a very small concept, a basic concept, something that's been difficult for them. And there's just like that light moment for them. And so after those, tutoring and seeing like students, their exams were better, they were happier. From the time that I started, I started to realize for myself that there were really lots of things that were much more important than just, always being tops in the class and having this. So really, I think that one of the ways to really get to be more confident is to be thoughtful. Or let me put it in a better way, is to take time to think about our days and the lessons that we have learned from encounters that we have made with other people. And I think that the more that you take time and being very intentional about just really recounting what did I learn today, the more that we learn lessons from our encounters with other people, the more that we're confident and we're more set on and we start to understand that there are lots of things that are important. It's not just one thing, because sometimes, like when I started and I said, you have to learn that being confident, you don't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to be able to exude confidence. You don't have to have all the any subject matter for you to be able to speak on that subject matter. So I learned after tutoring this, I started to understand that being able to impact the world and being able to impact other people basically is, if I learn 1 + 1 is equal to 2 today, and tomorrow I can teach that to somebody who didn't know it, then I have been a big impact on them, right? And the more that you learn that you don't have to know everything, like you don't have to solve algebra for you to be able to impact the life of like a 2-year-old who is finding it difficult to learn what 1 + 1 is, right? The more that you get into those situations, the more confident that you are, the more you start to understand that you don't have to have everything figured out for you to help a person, or you don't have to have everything figured out for you to be an impact to somebody. Your confidence starts to grow. And your confidence starts to grow in the fact you can share what you are right now, what you know right now, what you have right now with the next person. And that tomorrow you'll be more filled and you can share more. And that's okay. You know, you don't have to have everything today. As you go on, you keep learning, you keep sharing, you keep impacting people based on what you have learned. I think that, you know, I've an example of times when I wasn't very confident. Of course, I can't really talk about a lot of, I think that one other example I can give is this year, I have made a total of probably 12 applications. I mean, applying for scholarships, courses, fellowships, and all of that. So between last year and this year, probably like over 5. And in all of that, I've only gotten like a yes from just about 7 of them, right? And of course, like when those no's, when they come, it's like, am I not good enough? You know, like and you know, and some days have been crying, and then afterwards I sit back and I say, no, it's not that I'm not good enough. I probably just didn't fit into this criteria. And sometimes after you see like the people who have been chosen, you start to understand that it's not really that you're not good enough. This organization, I think that this is what they focus on, and because of that, that's why you didn't qualify. Not that you're not good enough, not that what you're doing is not great enough, but it just, for now, it doesn't fit into their short-term goal, right? Or their long-term goal. And for some others, it's, you know, you can see some projects and you can see that some of the projects have been here for like 5 years, 3 years. They have bigger numbers, they've been able to more people, and it's okay. And you realize that, okay, the fact that I could make it to like the next stage is reason that I'm doing the right thing. I need to be able to do more for get to where I need to get to. So at the end of the day, you would face those challenging moments. You face those times where you question yourself. You face those times where you feel like you're a failure. But what you need really to do is to tap into like those moments where someone has told you that you're good enough, where you have done something and you have seen that, yes, I am impacting people. Yes, I was able to help somebody else. You tap into those moments where you have been good, or where people have told you that you have been good, and you focus on those positives. Focus on it strongly, and then you can, you know, pull negatives. Sorry, I think I said too much.
Oh my goodness. But seriously, Choma, I feel like if we even ended this conversation here, we would have learned a lot. Thank you so much for your very, very robust and rich contributions. And of course, as you're speaking, I'm reminiscing very fondly some of the experiences that you're sharing, because for those who don't know, Choma happens to be my blood sister, and she's the first of 3 children. There's a boy, and then I'm the last child. And of course, I relate a lot with a lot of the experiences she's sharing, because I've been in her life since I was born. So thank you for the vulnerability of this conversation and just really sharing from your heart things that you have experienced in your journey to finding confidence. I think I want to highlight a few things that you've said just for the purpose of emphasis. You touched on a very, very important and I would say borderline sensitive subject, which is body image issues. This is something that a lot of women deal with. And if you look at like the beauty industry, it lives and thrives on women's lack of confidence. It lives and thrives on women's insecurities. So when you talk about like, what do you call this? Plastic surgeries. People are trying to change body parts because they feel like it's not beautiful enough, increase their lips, reduce their lips, lighten their complexions, whatever it is. And the beauty industry lives off of people's insecurities. And because it's so rampant and it's growing bigger and bigger, so many people don't want to deal with the root of the problem anymore. They just want to slather an artificial plaster on it. They want to go under the knife and get it over and done with. But I think it goes deeper inside. I think women need to begin to understand that no matter how they are beautiful enough. They are good enough. They're perfect the way that they are. And it took your father, our father, reconfiguring your mind to give you that perspective shift. And so if you're here on this call, this is a very common problem with a lot of women. I wouldn't call it a problem, I'll call it an issue. This is a very common subject matter where lots of women are struggling with like insecurities, body related insecurities, beauty issues. And, you know, the more the world advances with things like social media, the more the pressure increases, because you come on social media and you find people with the ideal body, and it just breeds, it creates room for a lot of comparison. And the more we talk about this thing, the more I'm so eager to get this book into the hands of everyone on this call, and even more, because everything that we're discussing has been talked about in the book. And I can't wait for you to read and gain a perspective shift on some of these issues. There's no need to compare yourself. Life is not perfect. We would have our moments of failure, but then we'll be able to remember who we are. And like Liana said, whose we are, and be able to bounce back. And then you also talked about impact, growing confidence. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what I took out of what you said. I think it's very true. Even as I reflect on my life's journey with philanthropy work, with coaching work, I've seen that the more I pour into people and the more I create impact, the more I get a feedback that boosts my confidence. And so the next time I'm willing to try again and again and even do bigger things. I think it's very paramount. And I think this, for me, ties closely with being able to walk in your purpose and just doing what you were made to do and dishing out the solution that you innately carry on your inside. Because as you give that solution to the world, they're going to appreciate you for it, and it's going to boost your confidence. Thank you so much for sharing amazing nuggets on this call, Choma. I'm going to come to you quickly, Liana. Still on the subject of confidence, do you have any stories that you want to share, anything you want to share on how you battled lack of confidence and how you overcame it just on your journey of life?
So I think one thing I'll talk about is my career.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say from a young age, like even as a teenager, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted to do with my life. And I wanted to work with immigrants. And then eventually I got into the counseling field. But I will say within the past couple of years, there's been some jobs that I've had that have been kind of confidence shakers. So I felt like those weren't the greatest environments, like maybe the company and my values didn't really align, and just the ways that they want us to help the people isn't really helping them very much, or really bringing the greatest outcome that it could be. And it was really a struggle to be in those kind of environments because I am a very values and mission driven person. And some days it was hard to go to work. But for me, it's about the person that I'm serving, you know, like at a certain point I had to realize, okay, it's not about the company, it's about people that I'm going to serve. And I was working with teenagers in the job that I'm referencing right now. And I know that just showing up for them day after day is going to make a huge impact on their lives. And maybe you're that person who's going to help them build that confidence that is lacking in their life. And maybe you're going to be the only person who builds them up, and they're going home to an environment that's not very positive for them. So just kind of remembering those things and remembering, like, I'm unrepeatable. And God has put me in this specific situation or allowed me in this situation for a reason. And for some reason, I'm the one to fill that gap. And then, so earlier this year, I was able to get a job counseling refugees, which was my main career goal. And I really feel, I love it. And I truly feel like it's where God wants me and where he was preparing me to be all along. But I feel like I did need to go through some of those more difficult environments to actually build that confidence and just to know who God is in my life, and just that he always has the best for me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And I feel like we can all in one way or the other relate to just being in situations that are, like you said, confidence shakers. You're gonna be like, what, me? Am I equal to the task? Is this for me? Am I going to compromise? What am I going to do? What am I going to just trying to figure that out? And I thank you very much for sharing your experience with these kinds of situations. Let me come back to you, Choma. I understand that you lead a STEM project or a STEM initiative. And for those who don't know, STEM is an acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So I understand that you lead a STEM project or initiative called, I think, Scientific Woman, Cafe Scientific Woman. My question is, that field has only started to have more women lately. It was previously a male-dominated field, and you have found yourself, then you are a player there. How have you helped the girl child or the women, the ladies in your network to continue to emerge and defy the odds, to dream big, to chase their dreams, and to show up confident in a very male-dominated space? Uh-oh. Chom, are you there? I think we may have lost her for a minute.
I'm not sure, like I've really thought about this before, but the one that comes to mind.
Okay, Choma, you're breaking up a little and your video is frozen.
Can you hear me?
Is there a chance you can fix that?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, but your video is frozen.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, but your video is frozen.
What about now?
Okay, sorry, folks, can you guys give some feedback in the chat box? Can you see Choma? Can you hear her?
Can you hear me now?
Can you guys give some feedback, please? We can hear you, but your video has tripped off. Can you guys give some feedback in the chat box? Can you see Choma? Can you hear her? Or is it from my end?
Hi guys, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Choma, can you hear me?
Oh, I can see my video.
Okay, so people are saying they can hear you now, but maybe they can't see you.
First, I would log out of the video and then log back in.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so we can't see your video. Are you saying you want to log out and log back in?
So I was saying that maybe Liana should go first. I will log, but then I would log back in.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that works. That works, but I'm gonna have a different question for you, Liana, because that question was very niche to Choma's line of work and what she does. So I'm gonna have a different question for you, Liana. I understand that you are a mental health expert, and I think the word is getting more and more aware of the importance of mental health in our every day-to-day lives. And can you speak to us specifically about the role that mental health has to play in a woman just gaining confidence? What is the role of mental health in a young visionary person's journey to finding and building confidence? Because I feel like if your mental health is compromised, the chances are low that you actually show up as a confident woman in your day-to-day. So can you help us find the link between mental health and confidence? What are the things that we should know?
Yeah, I mean, I would say mental health and confidence are very much connected. Mm-hmm. And I'm a very holistic person. So I believe that everything in our lives is connected, like our physical and our mental health is connected, our spiritual health and our mental health, our physical health and mental health, it's all connected and goes together. Mm-hmm. So I think, for people who have been through difficult childhoods or difficult traumas in their life, that can really break their confidence, or even if you're a child going through those things, it might not really be that environment that allows you to build confidence at all, or to really build that secure identity. So just being able to take care of your mental health and to gain more knowledge about mental health is really important. So if you are someone who has been through some kind of trauma or something that it's kind of hard to move on from, and you feel like this is still making an impact on your life, because things still can make an impact, whether it was even decades ago, and even things that happened before we could talk, those things are, they can be still ingrained in our brains in the way that we think about things, or the way that we behave, or the things that we expect, and those kind of things. So counseling can be a huge piece of regaining that confidence and your mental health. And I would recommend it. As I would say, a good counselor is going to be a good cheerleader for you. And you know, if you don't really have a lot of positive role models or positive relationships, they can be someone that you're meeting with once a week or whatever it may be, just helping you to boost that confidence and heal and move on into a better path and a better future.
Wow. I love very much what you have shared. And in my book as well, I did mention that sometimes a confident woman is going to need hand holding. She's going to need help to fully evolve into the confident version that she seeks to evolve into. Just because, like, life is life can break you sometimes. Things can come at you that will shatter your spirit. And sometimes it may just be very helpful to get a counselor or a therapist or a coach to help you walk through it. But the most important thing is recognizing that you need that help and making the decision to get the help that you need. So I'm very grateful that you shared this answer. Mental health plays a very critical role in a confident woman's ability to be confident. I've certainly invested in a lot of like training and coaching for myself, and then also for other people. And for me, it's very, very game changing when I see women go from timid to confident after holding their hands for a month, 2 months, walking them through, reorienting their mindsets, helping them to think differently, and then finally seeing them come to the point where they are much more confident. So yes, that is a very key role, and I thank you for sharing that. Okay, Chama, welcome back. I'm so sorry for how the network was messing with you. We're excited to have you back. If you still remember the question, just go ahead and answer it.
I think the question was about the fact that STEM field and how I am helping other young women also with their STEM journey. Is that the question?
Yes, I was just saying you're in a male-dominated field. How are you helping younger women, show up, defy the odds, and break grounds also in the same field and find themselves here?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like finding myself in the male-dominated field. I think I should share. This is like a really funny story, right? So I definitely chose the science path, not because, like from the time I was born and I started reading, I knew that I was going to go into the STEM field. It actually happened because, so my parents are not science inclined. They do not like mathematics, or like my mom absolutely abhors chemistry. And my institute are not inclined. But then in school, like I did pretty well, very well with math and, and the social sciences and the biological sciences and all of that. So when it was time to decide whether I should be in the arts field, in the commercial, or the science field, I had always also been a debater, and I loved acting also, and I'd done like some gig too with like radio and all of that. So I kind of just decided, I was like, I think these abilities are really just innate. I have like this arts tendencies. So maybe I should explore the science side. It's a challenge. So that's how science field. I was like, and nobody in my family is doing it. Maybe I should just do it. this science field, and definitely getting to the university. In the university, we were 150 students in my course, and only 50 were girls, of which by the time we were graduating, we're just about 9 girls who ended up graduating, right? And for me, it was always just really I don't think there's anything there, you know. I see the head on men, and it's just one head. It's on their head, is one head on my head. I don't think really this I don't think this is something I can't do. I will do this, because even though there's like differences in our body structure, but I mean, it's really just as about mind. So I think that the way that I was able to really just have that confidence is being able to sit down and dissect like what is at the heart of the matter, what's important for this. And I think that that's how I take like a lot of decisions too. It's like sitting down and asking myself, what's important? You know, what's the important thing? What's the urgent thing here? What should take priority? And, you know, for me, I just sat down and I dissected it, and what should take priority really is the brain. And, you know, for like the human brain, you know, is the brain, whether it's on a man's head or it's on a woman's head. So I can do this regardless. That's how I also, that's something that I try to share with young women in STEM, especially in the days or the times where they're having difficulties or they're not understanding something. And I say to them, I'm like, trust me, because I have been in this class, I know that the guys too have problems, because there are times where I've been the one who tutored a fellow student who's male or who's a guy. And there are times when it's been a guy who has tutored me. And also there are times where, you know, it's been a fellow girl who has tutored me. So at the end of the day, really, it's just sitting down to understand this. And if you're having any problem, reaching out to somebody who you think may help you with the problem, and that person helps you with the problem. So for me, I never focused on, oh, this is a male and he can do better, or because I'm a woman, I'm disadvantaged. And I think that that's what really helped me. And that's also what I encourage us to do. I'm like, don't look at all these other things. These things are unimportant, right? You need to focus on what can help you solve the problem that you have now. If it's another male in your class, then find a way to be able to talk to that male and get them to help you solve the problem. Either like going with like a fellow female student, or being in the classroom where you feel safe and you feel secure, right? Or if other female student, you know, find a way to do it. And I also think, I think that another way that I help people to like focus on what's really important is to let them know that even in the female dominated fields or spaces, women still have issues, they still have problems. And at the end of the day, you like your fellow woman. So the most important thing should always be, how do I solve this problem? You know, that's what we always look at. And also, I mean, like just highlighting and spotlighting, because one of the things that Big Woman really focused on is helping women within that same field be able to network. So the more that you see that there are other girls here, you start to understand that, oh, I'm not alone in this, right? And the mentorship classes, and you know, the cafes are really spotlighting women who have gone ahead and they have done like a lot of things. And cafe, they share like stories of challenges that they had, opportunities that they leveraged to be able to get to where they are, certain organizations that they had worked with, and if those opportunities exist for the young girls right now. So definitely, you know, like role model is really, the more that you see that there are people who have gone ahead of you and they have done this, they're successful, you know, you can start to build that confidence that yes, there's something really in this for me, right? And also just offering those, sometimes it's really like the very little thing, you know, somebody doesn't exactly know how to start to write their project paper, and you're just like, oh, what you just need to start with is like key definitions of what your topic is and helping you understand the topic. And really that's the game changer for them. And it's like, oh, this is all I needed to start. And, you know, as it progresses, it just gets easier. So the training sessions and the group chat where we're able to answer the girls' questions and able to like just point them in the right directions about things that they have been missing out, or, create that paradigm shift about how they can look at it that they have is something, and we'll just continue to build up on all of these things here.
Very well said, Choma. Very well said. I like that you talked about focus, the power of laser focus, to always know what to major on, what to minor on. Don't go focusing on the impossibilities. Always keep your mind open to the possibilities and let that be where your focus is. And then you also talked about mindsets and paradigm shifts, which I think is very, very important and very, very powerful. And I like the fact that you mentioned that you're contributing your quota into reorienting the minds of the younger generation to say, look, there's really no big deal. If a man can do it, you can do it. One head here too. And we need each other. There's no need for a superiority game. You can tutor me as a guy, I can tutor you as a woman, and there are no limits to that. And also you talked about the power of role models as well. I think this is very, very, it's a big deal to me, and I like that you're emphasizing it. There are many, many people that have gone ahead of us that can serve as inspirations to us and to show us that it's possible for us as well on our journey. So thank you so much for sharing that. I still want to focus on you, Choma. I feel like you have a penchant for going into really difficult terrains, or quote unquote difficult terrains, and doing things that one would ordinarily think that is reserved mostly for men. Let's talk about your political journey. I mean, it would be wrong if we ended this conversation without talking about your political journey, being the Deputy Speaker of the Fourth Assembly of the Nigerian Youth Parliament for, I think, about 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. How did you get into politics? How did you become a woman in politics in a place like Nigeria, a young woman in politics, representing Nigerian youths in the Nigerian Youth Parliament? That was definitely a milestone. It was a game changer. I remember just hearing that you got elected into the position and going, wow, how did she get there? Talk to us about that, in case there are women who are interested in politics on this call, but just feel like because it's Nigeria, it's not possible for me as a woman, it's going to be too difficult. Talk to us about that.
So first of all, I am going to just correct a notion. I do not yet see myself as a woman in politics. I would definitely say that more of my interest is in policy. I think that at some point, just from reading books about, other countries, other continents, reading books about war, entrepreneurship, and all of that, I have really just found out that policy is so key to a functional system, whether really small system or a large system like a country. Policies really, they're very essential for systems. And basically, if like business policies in business are of course different from like policies in major policy making. It's a little bit different too when you come to like the judiciary, and it's a little bit different when you come to like the executive arm of the government. But whatever system it is, policies are really important. And it could be something like, in this village, there's this policy that women do not, do walk out around this time so that they are not attacked by, say, wild animals. Just giving like a really just a random example. And so you have that policy, you have it written down, and that's something that you make your children understand, you make everybody in the society understand, and then they understand that this why this policy exists. It exists so that it can help us have like security for our women. For me, I think that I understood that even businesses that did well, they had like clear policies that would orient new staff about these policies. As a staff grew, even if there are changes, everybody understands that this is our company policy. And it's in, it's in everything, whether it's in like your brand, even like branding, having a brand book and saying these are our colors, this is how we use it, this is our text font. And then everybody who has to work with being able to communicating about the brand outside understands that this is the brand color, this is the font, this is the way to use the brand. So policy is just coming up with those things that are key to and vital to moving the society or a system forward, and making sure that you write them down and that everybody understands it and everybody is working just to ensure that the policy is implemented, right? So I would say that I'm more interested in policy because that's where like the true change really happens. And that's where the true power for the people is really hedged on. As for the other question, as for the main question, rather, I was explaining the notion. As for the main question about how I got into politics, quote unquote, it was through developmental work, amazingly. So during my service, my school sent my state of origin as Delta State. It was a typographical error. And I was then posted to my own state for service. So I had done some developmental work when I was in school, and it was something that I understood could really impact people. And because of that, when I was posted to my state, it was like a really big opportunity to make impact at home. And I really did take it seriously during my service. I coached secondary schools. I collaborated with other core members to execute a statewide quiz competition in the STEM field, carried out campaigns about health, and just partnering. I think that something that was very key and different is the way that I don't walk alone. I like to partner with people to bring more value to people. And, after all of these programs, I was appointed by the Secretary to State Government as his technical assistant. And also, most of my work really just had to do with like developmental policy for young people in his office. And it's in the course of executing these that when time for nomination came, he was very confident to nominate me to the Nigerian Parliament. And of course, at the Nigerian Parliament, Liana, you would not know this, but in Nigeria, my state is considered an educationally disadvantaged state. And that's something that has really been a burden. And that's something that has inspired the works that I do here. And also because of we're educationally disadvantaged, naturally people have like that tendency to look down on the person from a point. So I set on the goal that I was going to show people that somebody from an educationally disadvantaged state is sound and can lead, execute office. And, that was the inspiration. And that's also something I shared with like my supporters. I shared with them how these, from the first time I heard my state was educationally disadvantaged, that driven, and these are the things that are inspiring me to run for office. And, and also being able to share with people the vision for the office. These are the things that we can accomplish. These are things that young people have not been able to do with this office, and we can do this in this office. And that really is how I was able to represent young people as the deputy. Of course, like so many stories, but I think that this is really just the summary of it all. So for young people here who are interested in politics, I would like to say that politics, policy making, it doesn't have to be only through one route. And if you aspire to any position, I would say that what you should really focus on is of being a person of value to your immediate community. And the more that you impact people, as people see you as an impact, even if that route is not the natural route that other people have taken, you will find that you would see supporters who would push your campaign, and you would become that person who very different and has come in with a difference. So wherever it is that you aspire to, just always have it at the back of your mind or at the front of your mind that you need to create value here. You need to be valuable and you need to create impact. That's, yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that detailed and borderline exhaustive answer. I would say that if I could summarize it, it's just he that is faithful in little, more will be given to him. Because I see that yours really started from working with secondary schools in a remote community. And then from there, you got into the state government. And when it was time for nomination, he was confident because he had seen you demonstrate some of these qualities. And it was like, if there is a candidate, it will be her. So if you want to be on that route, in fact, this is just a generally applicable principle, not just in the area of politics, but whatever you're doing, continue to be faithful and consistent. And I believe that will become someday the platform upon which you can get big recommendations and bigger opportunities to do bigger things with your life. Thank you so much. As I begin to wind down this conversation, I think I have one final question for the both of you, but I'm going to start with you, Leanna, this time around. The question really is, how can women support other women to become confident women? Because, there was a time where women were associated with drama, and sometimes women, you see some women bashing other women, jealousy, strife, tearing each other down. But I believe that over time we're gradually evolving out of that phase, and many more women are realizing that there is enough space in the sky for all of us to fly, and we don't have to beat each other, talk each other down, or bash each other to really be successful. How do you think that women can support other women in their journey to being confident women?
I mean, I think our strength comes from our relationship with one another. Like, I don't think there's any confident woman who is just being confident and doing her thing alone. Like, I believe that she's encircled by other confident women who are encouraging her and supporting her all along the way. And I think that's what we all need to be doing for every woman, even, women or girls we may know who are not quite at that high confidence level yet. We need to be, like you were talking about, Regina, a hand holder, an encourager, like pointing out those wonderful talents that she has or those gifts. Even if it's just a seed that you see, like, we know that those seeds can grow into something great in her life and in her community. And I think just that encouragement and that support is so important. And I think too, vulnerability is a big part of this too. For some reason, a lot of women feel like we need to show that we have it all together. And I don't know where that comes from, but we don't need to have it all together because we're human beings. So I think we need to be honest with each other and authentic in our relationships. And that's really going to give us those amazing friendships that are going to be encouraging and life-giving. So I think that's really important too.
This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and very true. I think women need to become more collaborative than combative. There is no threat. We don't pose any threat to one another. The sky is wide enough for all of us to fly, and we are all going to thrive when we all thrive as a community, as a people, versus like just trying to outshine one another. And, I like that you've emphasized the community because it's absolutely important. Chioma, what are your thoughts around like how women can support women? Because I'm very passionate about women. A lot of my work revolves around women. And I've written this book specifically with women in mind because of what we're talking about now, how we can get more women to connect and unify. And, we're a powerhouse that way. And we can achieve way more when we put aside all of this pettiness to really stand as one force. That's when we can really change our world. So what are your thoughts on how women can practically support other women?
I think I'm going to say that one of the ways that women can support women is that they have to start from the standpoint of it's a decision.
It's a decision. Wow.
Whatever support or do, whoever it is that you want to support, anything that you want to achieve, it is a place of making a decision, right? And, you know, in that place where you decide that you want to support other women, I greatly, greatly advise or suggest that you yourself, you have to build you have to build certain values, especially values like, you know, honesty, being truthful, like, you know, those qualities that Liana, those gifts of the Holy Spirit, right? You have to build upon those gifts, and you have to take a decision continually. You have to keep in, because you know, in supporting somebody, you have to be adding value, you have to be impacting people. So it's really important that we understand that, first of all, you have to take action, and that there are certain characteristics that you have to imbibe. There are also certain characteristics that you have to drop, like you know, that spirit of being judgmental, and you know, the spirit of pride, like looking at yourself like you are better than the next person and all of that. You have to drop that, and you know, imbibe characteristics like humility, understanding that you can learn from people, even though you may be more advanced than somebody in a certain field. If you come to some other field, they are more advanced. So as you build that spirit of like humility, and you also equip yourself more with knowledge and learning and specializing in whatever it is that you have chosen, or whatever path that you have chosen to walk on, you know, you'll be able to help people. I would say that it's like self-confidence is so key to being able to support other people, because if you're not confident in you know, supporting other people, you know, you're that place where you're asking yourself questions like, can I do it? Should I do it? But the more that you build all of these characteristics, the more your self-confidence grows, and the more that you're knowledgeable about the things that you can do and you want to do, the more that your confidence grows. So it really is just like, you know, all of these things put together for you to be able to support other women. And as much as possible, write it down. There's this thing that that I learned from How to Win Friends and Create Influence by Dale Carnegie, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about he remember people's names, and because he remembered their names, he addressed them by names. He could, you know, influence them. People really very close to him. And in one of these places, he was talking how he would literally compartmentalize people's names, write people's names, learn about the people that he wanted to meet, learn like personal traits about those people, and be able to connect to them on notes. So from there, I really learned how important it is to write things that are important down. So if it's writing on the dashboard of your bed that today I am going to support a woman, today I am going to speak positive words to 3 women, you know, and as you see it in key strategic places, you go out remembering those things that you know. And the more you do it, as you support one woman today, you know, you have that capacity to support women. So the more you do it, the more you keep just supporting, and you keep supporting, and your capacity for, you know, supporting more people groups. So basically, like all of this, you know, ingredients.
Wow, amazing. I have definitely been very inspired by this particular conversation, and the answers that both of you have given are extremely brilliant. I think to just add to that, practically speaking, like what I do, for instance, is I set a goal to compliment at least one woman every day. I say, if I like your hair, I'm going to say your hair is lovely. I like your nails. I like the color of your dress. Just to get women to understand that we're not in a competition. I don't feel threatened because you look like a blockbuster. I don't feel like I'm less beautiful because you look very beautiful. So I just set a goal to compliment a woman a day. And I also try to support those in businesses. I try to buy women-owned brands, whether it's a fragrance or it's a clothing brand, whatever it is. I try to buy more women. I try to patronize more women-owned brands. That's my little way of, well, one of the ways that I try to support other women to build their confidence and just, be their best selves. This has been a very, very, very interesting and impactful conversation. I feel like we've learned all of this for free from the both of you, and it's just so phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm going to pause at this point and get some feedback from the audience. First of all, does anyone have any questions for our guest speakers? Questions. I see a hand raised up. I don't really know if that is intentional. If it is intentional and you want to ask a question, please unmute yourself and speak. Whilst we're waiting for her to, Esther, do you have a question? Whilst we're waiting for Esther, does anyone have any question? And can you guys put in the chat box how this conversation has been for you? Give us some feedback, show us some energy level. Have you learned something? Have you been inspired by listening to this strong, beautiful, amazing women talk to us about confidence today? Give some feedback in the chat box. Give some feedback. And if you have a question, does anyone have a question? Can you indicate by raising your hands? And can you guys just give us some feedback in the chat box? How has this conversation been like for you so far? What has this conversation been like? Have you learned any lessons? Have you learned something new? Have you been inspired? Where is everyone? Where is everyone? Any feedback for us? I see Grace saying the conversation has been very practical and relatable, and that's very helpful and inspiring for me. That's beautiful to read. Who else? Give us some feedback, family. Kisa says it's been totally amazing. I've been taking notes, especially when Choma talked about writing down important things and reading. Awesome. Ijoma says, I have learned so much from the speakers. It's been amazing and very enlightening. Beautiful. Kenny says, it has been really enlightening and insightful. Love to read from you, ladies. Love to read from everyone. Keep it coming. Keep your comments coming. And also, if you have any questions, this will be the time to ask. Do you have any questions for us? Practical things that you want to ask the speakers around confidence, around whatever it is that they have shared today. Does anybody have any questions? Whilst we are waiting for the questions, if you want to speak, unmute your microphone, introduce yourself, and go ahead and ask your questions. But if you want to type it, go ahead and type it. I'll be happy to read it out to the hearing of our guest speakers. Whilst we are on that though, I'm happy to announce to you guys that the ebook is 100% ready for download. So what I'm going to do is we created a WhatsApp group for this book launch. We didn't add our guest speakers to it, but everyone who registered for this book launch is on a WhatsApp group. So I'm going to post the link to download it on the WhatsApp group. And for my guest speakers, of course, I'm going to send specially to you the link to download the book. Feel free, it's 100% free ebook. Feel free to read and feel free to share with the women in your lives. This book is extremely practical, extremely straight to the point, short, crunchy, and full of amazing nuggets. I promise you there is something in it for you. So it's something you can read in 1 hour at a go if you set your heart to it. Nothing complicated, nothing bulky. And it's going to be available to you for free. That is such a beautiful thing, right? So I'm going to post a link to download the book on the WhatsApp group. And for our speakers, I'm going to share with you, encourage you to share with both men and women. I mean, some men registered to be a part of this and they said, hey, we want to learn on behalf of the women in our lives. And I thought that was so cute. So yeah, that's that about that. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions? Awesome. As we begin to bring this conversation to a close, I'm going to make a very special request. I'm going to request that if you can turn on your video, I want us to take a selfie. I want us to take a virtual selfie. So if you can turn on your video, I want to see your beautiful smiling faces whilst we take a selfie, whilst we take a photo. So if you, yeah, it's okay. It's all, thank you, Sandra. If you guys can turn on your videos real quick. Oh, thank you, Esther. Beautiful women here tonight. So amazing. If you can turn on your video, we're gonna take a picture. Yay! Thank you, Precious. Yay! More people. Turn on your. Oh no, this is gonna show. More people, family. Hey, seek it. Oh, look at this beautiful women here tonight. Yay, thank you. Go on and turn on your videos if you can, and let's take, I'm already doing screenshots. So if you can turn on your video, there are 3 more people with their video off. I want to appeal to you, please. Turn on your video for a split second, and then we're just gonna go ready, set, cheese, and then we'll snap. Okay, who's ready? Who's ready to do this? Yes, big energy. Okay, ready, set, cheese. Wow. Yep. Okay, I got it. I'm gonna post on the group. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been a very, very, I see some people still joining. We are wrapping this already. This has been a very impactful conversation, but I feel like I want to really get your feedback. Does anyone have any comments, any contributions? You want to share any light bulb moment that you had, something that really struck you whilst we're talking, anything at all that you want to say? We really want to hear from you. Who wants to share something? Break the ice. Someone break the ice. And I know so many people here personally. I'm so tempted to just call a name, but I will resist that temptation. And who wants to say something? Grace, are you here? Grace, are you here? Can I hear your voice today? Grace or Shil?
Oh, I'm here, but I already gave feedback in the chat box.
Oh, I see. Okay, nice. Who didn't give a feedback in the chat box? Who wants to say something? Esther, Keto.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Please introduce yourself and then go ahead.
I'm a student. I'm a law student currently.
Hi, Joma. Please can you turn up your volume a bit? We can't really hear you.
Okay, I said I'm Ijoma Obicha.
Hi,
and I'm a law student. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Basically, I think it's been all about. I really discovered that something that some things that have been happening in my life. Okay, but like I couldn't really place a finger on it, and the factors that have really contributed to it, especially in the aspect of the building of confidence. But having participated in this book launch, I realized that it's kind of highly related to, she mentioned the aspect of impacting in people and being impacted by others and all. So, okay, like as a law student, I began to engage in meeting. I chose a mentor from my class, and then the person has really been very helpful, adding so much values to my life. And then as well as, okay, like right now, just a few moments from the moment I started learning the things, I'm now able to teach some other persons, some other younger persons in my class, in my chamber, and they too are learning from me, they're calling me, they somewhat believe in me, that I can actually pass something to them. And I've really been trying my best to live up to their expectations. So it's really been, I don't really understood the aspect of that it's about the confidence, like it was really confidence related in a way. I just thought I was just doing it and I didn't know what it was, but I was just doing it, I was just taking it one day at a time, learning, teaching others. But so I really appreciate the fact that these things were discussed. So now I understand that I need to read more, acquire more knowledge in order to impact in people, get the feedback that will aid to boost my confidence. I really appreciate everything that we mentioned this night. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ijoma. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, everything that has a beginning has an end, and it's been very, very amazing hanging out with all of you virtually. Thank you so much, Choma. Thank you so much, Liana, for coming to this conversation to be a guest speaker. I definitely look forward to more collaborations and just women partnering with other women to create even bigger impact in our world. Thank you so much to all the attendees. I see you all. Thank you for coming today. And this is where we say goodbye. It's really hard for me, but we got to say goodbye. God bless you all. Thank you for coming, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.